Everybody, welcome back to our special technology issue of Staffing Monthly. And our technology issue would not be complete without thinking about the future of our industry and where it's going, and how software as a service in the VMS and MSP space can actually impact your tech stack. And I have none other than Keith Banks from Ringo, who is literally the industry leader in providing this type of resource to our industry, here with me today. Keith, I'm grateful for your time, man. Thanks for being here.
Good morning, Dan. I really appreciate it. Look forward to our conversation.
Likewise, man. It's always fun. We always have a good time, for sure. Just for our audience that might not be aware of who you are, which I feel like that's probably few and far between, but why don't you just give a super quick background about, kind of who you are, what you're doing with Ringo, and kind of your involvement in staffing.
Sure, Dan. Appreciate it. So I am an industry veteran / staffing nerd. I've been in the business for a long time, 30 plus years, running actively staffing companies. And back in the day, where Ringo really came from and was born was when the job boards crashed the shores of the staffing industry. And we all thought that our jobs, our lives were over, and toiled around and sat with some friends in the business and started to hear about this vendor management technology that was out there, which was brand new and still the dark evil back then. And we created what was going to be a software platform for our staffing properties, right? To be the original, applicant tracking / back office systems. And won't bore everyone with the details, but fast forward, the software took a life of its own, and we sent it off on its own, and Ringo became its own company back in the day. And we, from there, have really just continued to iterate and listen to the marketplace as to where we're going, what we need to do, and how it can maybe turn the perception from necessary evil to actual strategic initiative.
Well, I couldn't agree more, and I think that's a cool story. I guess I didn't realize that the dark, deep roots of Ringo were in just building out kind of your own internal software, which, necessity is the mother of all invention, right? And I think it's amazing what you've done. I do think there's still maybe a stigma or a slight negative connotation when staffing agencies hear the term VMS or MSP. So really quick, from your perspective, what is a VMS and what is an MSP, and why do people use those terms interchangeably?
Good question. I think why they use them interchangeably and why that perception is still out there is because the MSP companies, right? They were these pure, not even technology companies, really program management organizations, came in and really lifted the rug out from underneath the staffing companies' relationships with their clients. Right. And just came in full bore, head first, and disrupted, popular word, the relationships between the vendors, staffing companies, and their clients. I don't know if it was so much about the technology initially, or especially around MSP, as it was, right, consuming the market share and the business. So how those terms are interchangeable, how they became interchangeable was, I believe, that the MSP companies started to bring in technology, not necessarily their own, but technology to manage those platforms. Since then, I think there are two silos, right? There is a managed service program, the MSP programs themselves, which have, I guess, a need and a reason. And then there's the VMS, which is the vendor management systems we all know, which are I believe to be, or I look at as more of the pure play technology initiatives.
Right.
And those are really the differences. The VMS I see as the technology, the MSP I see as the actual brick and mortar of a program to manage a client's needs.
So I agree with you. I see it the same way. And I also think you made a really pretty valuable point about the reason that negative connotation still exists is because a lot of staffing agencies felt like their relationship was ripped away from them and they were put at arm's length. And I know that every agency that I talk to, that is the number one, I guess, point of frustration is how they don't have direct access to the hiring managers anymore and the decision makers. And that can be problematic. And what's an unintended consequence, as you know, with your background, is it can actually diminish the quality of candidate that actually gets to the end company, because you lose that knowledge piece that happens in organic conversation. So I think that's why that exists there. So how does an agency change that? How do we take control of those relationships or get around that problem?
Nail on the head. And first off, Ringo, let's all keep in mind, or I hope and I wish the industry keeps in mind when we talk about Ringo, is, again, we were founded, formed, and still to this day led by staffing industry veterans and professionals. So we attack our clients, our partners' issues with a staffing mentality. So we're always solutioning that way. That said, Ringo's a pure play vendor management system. We are not looking to disrupt a staffing partner's relationship. We're looking to enhance it. And how do we do that is, again, by providing them tools necessary to move them up the value chain, right? To strengthen their relationships, not disrupt their relationships with their clients. Again, how do we do that? We live in the day of disruption. So a staffing company, from my perspective, Dan, they need to keep upping their game, right? And how do you do that? That's by bringing new resources, by bringing new services. Relationships certainly count and are still vital. However, you want to go in and differentiate yourself. You want to go in and not talk about the next requisition or just the next problem and invoicing and scheduling. You want to go in with solutions. So bringing in technology, whether it be vendor management systems or something else that makes them more efficient, both ends, client and staffing partner, that makes them more efficient, more effective, deeper look into the analytics of how to be better. That's, I think, how the perception needs to be handled by the staffing company leader or owner, to solve the issues together with a staffing mentality in mind.
All right, I like it. So I see it the same way. And in fact, I was just talking to a staffing executive the other day, and I made the comment that I think when you look at the future of staffing and the way that how fragmented the market is, there's this band of staffing companies that are sitting squarely in the mid-market, and they don't know how to, I guess, get terminal velocity to escape that middle market or to scale to a certain level. And I think the phrase that you use to basically integrate yourself or move yourself up the value chain with your clients, I think that's how they should do it. Because right now there's a lot of agencies that play in that space that work with larger enterprise clients, and they're not the only agency in there. And what will be happening is the MSPs of the world or the VMS technologies are calling on those clients to say, hey, let us manage your program. And if they get in there and manage it, all those staffing agencies are just going to be at the whim of whoever that MSP is. However, if you're a staffing agency and you can actually create an MSP and leverage a VMS, you can be that partner. And now you can control your own destiny and actually control and better manage the relationships of all the other staffing agencies to move up the chain. Am I seeing it the right way?
100%. Dan, listen, again, having this staffing mentality, our staffing partners, they already own those relationships, right? They already have the trusted partnership with their client. Can you imagine just enhancing that? What that does? I mean, you build market share, you build more trust, you protect, right? You build that moat around your business, right? To protect competition and have the ability to grow. Another not famous, I shouldn't say that, I'm overstating. Another line I like to use also for that middle market you're referencing, Dan, is with technology. And again, let's take just vendor management out of it, technology overall. You have three options as I see it from my mind. And it's build something, buy something, or bury your head in the sand and pretend it's not going to happen. And right, the third option, anybody proactive can't look at. So buy or build, and remembering your core business is staffing. So we made that mistake, but now we're taking out there. So it's time to partner. It's time to accept. And I really believe strategically look at, which is something we can get into, how to partner with a technology company, in this case, vendor management. So yes, it's all about enhancing the relationship.
So I do want to talk about how to partner integrate here in a second, but before I get there, a question that I definitely wanted to ask because really the technology issue that we're in here is focusing on building out and optimizing the staffing technology stack. So tell me, where does a white label vendor management system like Ringo, where does something like that sit into a staffing company's tech stack? How does that work together?
Great question. And obviously everyone's different, so I don't want to give you the "it depends" answer, but high level, listen, our technology, especially our next gen, our newer platform that we just launched the beginning of this
slick,
year.
by the way, very slick.
Thank you. Appreciate that. That means a lot. We have open APIs. So again, having that staffing mentality in place with the myriad of back office systems and applicant tracking systems that staffing companies use, we could plug right into that. So whether it's some of the frustrations, right, with vendor management technology and MSPs is the duplicate entries on the front end and on the back end, the billing periods, the cycles, things of that nature. We could plug right into most platforms. So that eliminates a lot of that. Talk about integrating into a tech stack. The other side of it, I think it's just more front end, Dan, in the sense of this is part of your sales enablement and marketing tech stack, meaning that you now have an opportunity for a turnkey pop-up VMS technology, MSP and MSP program that you could white label, as you mentioned, tomorrow. We put on Maury staffing and have at it, right? So then behind it is the strategy behind it. But from a tech stack perspective, I think it plugs into that. I think here's something for you from the analytics perspective, right? Which everyone's driving towards these days. So analytics, what Ringo in its next gen form provides you is a dashboard right there live that can provide you the analytics of from spend drill down to requisition drill down to any type of workflow, how many candidates have been submitted. So all of that provides you a cockpit to run a VMS MSP program. And the value of that is pushing those analytics through. So now you're talking off fact, right? And have proof of what's happening that again provides more value to your client.
So I agree with that, and I want to emphasize one point on that, because I'm a data analyst guy. I nerd out with data, and with that, if you're offering a VMS or you're a staffing agency providing services to a client, clients want more visibility, especially in today's market where things aren't always going swimmingly because of the labor shortages and how hard it is, and clients not keeping up with compensation as quickly as they should be. And there's been a lot of disruption because of the pandemic. And no one really knows exactly what the root cause of it is, and it's variable, but everyone wants more clarity. They want more visibility into it. So if you go to a client and you say, hey, I've got this really slick dashboard that's going to give you real-time performance data on what's going on, and not only can you use it to measure our performance, we could actually let you measure all of your staffing suppliers' performance through one system, you're going to be a hero to that buyer, to that decision maker. And then that's the piece I want to emphasize. But then really, this is an interface that your client interacts with you with, in a sense. This is something that they can actually put requisitions into. This is something that they actually are connected to you through software, where right now they're not typically connected to you any way other than the relationship, which is important, but the software makes it sticky, right? So that's where it sits in the tech stack as far as how the human element works, right?
Correct. And just think about the compelling conversations that could be had now, right? Off of true analytics, right? We can go in with a QBR and really talk about time to fill and talk about how to improve that, right? Sometimes it is on our clients' plate, right? That they're just not moving candidates through enough, or they're not interviewing fast enough. Think about those kind of conversations to help them improve, right? And be more effective and efficient. So yes, to everything you said, and I'm in full agreement, and that's why we are so excited about the kind of technology and services and partnerships we're bringing out to the market there. So that we get it, we understand it, right? That's what jazzes us up.
I see it as a necessity, honestly. When I look at it, and on that mindset, like I don't like getting bullied by the big MSPs of the world. Like I'm always asking, like, well, why not me? Like, why not go to a client? Like, why not let me manage this piece for you, right? And I think a lot of times staffing agencies, when they ask that question, they naturally get maybe imposter syndrome, or they doubt themselves and be like, I don't know how to do that. Like, I guess I don't know how to be, one of the big MSPs, insert name here, so how do you talk me through this? And I know the answer, but for the benefit of our viewers here, talk me through how Ringo will actually partner with a staffing agency and help them become that MSP, if you will, for their clients, and actually have that expertise when the agency themselves might not already have it.
The simple answer is just call us, right? Or I guess in today's world, email us. But all kidding aside there, Dan, very important point, right? This is implementing this type of strategy is strategic. Bad sentence there, but that's what it is. You have to be ready for it. It's like partnering with anything, whether you bring in some outsourced recruitment or whether it's, again, another technology. You have to be ready, and you have to have a vision of where you're going with this. So the partnership is more strategic than it is technical or process. Or it's really getting together. Again, the value of Ringo is with other staffing professionals from the other side and talking through how we're going to implement this type of strategic mission or vision. And that could be, we could slow play that, or you could go all out to your entire marketplace, right? We could choose a few different clients and really put them up on the whiteboard, as you have right behind you there, and really look at it, right? What are the issues? What are the pain points of your client? What are your internal pain points? What's the value prop there? And really go through it. And we could help you and work with because again, you own the relationship, work with the staffing client company to come up with the best program, plan, or messaging to their client. Because again, every situation is different. So some components of the platform might be more relevant in one situation than the other. So it's really whiteboarding and game planning the strategic mission of how to move this out. And let me just add this also. I think the greatest value that's overlooked by a staffing company with bringing on technology, and again, let's keep it to vendor management systems here, is that as a staffing owner and leader, the ability to bring more offerings to your team to bring to their clients, right, in a go-to-market strategy, that helps attract and retain your own talent, because they're working for a progressive, forward-thinking organization that's not, again, just looking for the rec. They're bringing new solutions to their clients. So of course they want to stay with your organization or come work for your organization, because you're out there. And as a staffing owner, that's, again, I think the value we bring, because we think that way.
That's huge too. That's a great point that I hadn't even considered, is that, when you have more offerings and you're more innovative and you're a market leader, like, you are going to, retain and attract better internal talent, which, as we all know, the agencies that have the best internal talent end up winning,
Yeah, people want to be with winners. So that's what it's, that's a value prop that I try to bring to who I speak to, the other owners and leaders, as often as possible, because it's not just about the business or the numbers or what percentage they're going to of the market we're going to take from them. It's about go be a leader in your own market and attract and retain that talent. That's the win.
That's a great point. And it makes me actually think of a really funny story that just happened this week. I was talking with a staffing leader of a company, and they were preparing for a big proposal with one of their clients who they are a participant of an MSP. And, it's the whole rebid, renegotiation part of the deal. And the client is leaning on discounts, rate decreases. It's like, hey, our costs are gone up. We need you to, agencies, we need you to all cut your rate, the whole game, the RFP game and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, well, why don't you ask them to reduce the VMS fee? It's a little bit higher than industry. Why don't you just ask them if maybe the VMS can share in the cost savings and just reduce their fee a little bit, and then everyone can help the client company. And I got immediate pushback. They're like, no way. The client company would never do that. Like, that is just too institutional. And it dawned on me right in that moment that it's true. The client company values the pricing structure of the MSP and VMS partner more than they do the pricing structure of the staffing agency. So I'm like, if you have that as an offering, you're going to have more protected and insulated pricing than more valuable price structure to the client than what the staffing agency currently has. And you're probably going to receive less pressure for price discounts from the client, which is amazing. That's like refreshing in our industry. So I thought that was another funny unintended consequence that I hadn't considered about, introducing a service like this as a business line.
Yeah. Again, and it's about adoption, and it's about acceptance, and it's here. And I would just say to everyone listening or who's going to listen, that's even if you want to just talk about the concept of, that's what we're all about. I mean, and truly come at it from a partnership perspective than a disruption perspective.
So I'll echo that. Kind of the last thing I want to share, because you hire some amazing people over there, and I've had a chance to work with Shani. She's been on, some other episodes with Staffing Mastery, and I got to observe her walking through kind of coaching or advising an agency that was trying to present themselves as an MSP that didn't have that experience.
Mm-hmm.
She has a depth of experience that was unbelievable, and she volunteered so much of her time to literally cross every T and dot every I to make sure that the agency had a really strong MSP program that they could actually present to their clients, so they didn't look like they were the new kid on the block. And I was impressed by that. I was impressed by her knowledge and her willingness to share it. And I think that just speaks to what you just said about you focus more on the partnership and strategic side, and the software just happens to be the really cool backbone of it all.
I appreciate that, and I'll certainly pass that along, and she'll smile when she hears this interview. But yes, Dan, I mean, I think that is what we bring. We still are staffing veterans by profession, and service is our motto, right? We listen, we service, and that's how we come at it. The technology, like as you said, is the cool wow factor. But around that is, how do you implement, how do you get it done, how do you partner? And that's still through servicing and building relationships with our partners.
I love it. I love it. I will say, I don't want to sound overly promotional of Ringo, but I really don't know of any other white label tool that gives you the capabilities to really become your own MSP, providing state-of-the-art, VMS functionality that will plug into probably whatever ATS that you're utilizing. I just don't know if that's out there. And I will tell you, just talking directly to our viewers here, if you're watching this, this is the future of staffing, and it doesn't need to disrupt it. It can enhance it, and it's only going to disrupt it if you choose to bury your head in the sand. But if you become an early adopter and you look to add this as a business line to your business and a value add to your clients, you're going to be ahead of the curve, and you're going to be ahead of any sort of disruption that the market sees, and you're going to be better insulated with your clients. So I would encourage you to reach out to Keith and his team at Ringo and learn more about what it would look like for you and see if it's right. But
correct.
Keith, what is your part? Give any parting word for the audience today, or what's the best way to get a hold of you and the team there?
Well, first off, thanks again, Dan. It's great getting together with you, and I love how we share the same philosophies around it and that vibe for the industry. You can get in touch with us. Obviously, just go tap our website, www.goringo.com. You can reach me on LinkedIn or at keith@goringo.com. Always interested in engaging in this type of conversation, even just to talk and meet people. So that's there. Parting words would be under this. Everyone, as we all know in the staffing industry, right? We just have to keep progressing. Right? We sometimes point the finger at our clients that say, hey, they're not adapting as fast as they should be. Well, neither does the staffing industry, in my experience, for quite some time. And I'm not just talking because we have Ringo. Back in running staffing company days, we were late to the game as well. So I would just say, keep thinking, keep your minds open, keep adopting, and keep offering value.
I love it, man. That's a great send off. Everybody, hope you enjoyed this chat with Keith Banks from Ringo and our technology issue. And until next month.
Thanks, Dan.
All right, man. Awesome job. I appreciate it. I will get this edited up. I'll send you over kind of a clip prior to going live, and then I'll send you the link to the actual full-on magazine so you can check it out and share it.
Good job. I appreciate it, man.
Awesome, man. I'll be talking to you soon.